Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are decoding a truly singular, defining moment in sports history. We're looking at the absolutely unbelievable mental fortitude of Cristiano Ronaldo during his historic FIFA World Cup goal. We're gonna literally step right into the mind of a legend to figure out exactly what it takes to execute under that kind of unimaginable pressure. Okay, let's dive into this. So I want you to think about this. What was actually going through Cristiano Ronaldo's mind the exact moment that ball hit the back of the net? We all see the physical action, right? We see the wild celebration. But as focused learners here, let's look a little deeper at the psychology behind it all. Seriously, put yourself in that stadium for a second. The pressure of the entire world is squarely on your shoulders. You've just struck the ball. It crosses the line. In that absolute ultimate climax of a moment, what is the internal dialogue? Well, to truly understand that, we kind of have to look at the broader context of this specific kick, which brings us to an incredibly important data point. To really grasp the immense pressure of this moment, we have to look at one stark number: 41. At 41 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo stepped onto that pitch. Now, think about the intense physical and mental demands of professional sports for a second. It's an arena where most players are literally forced to retire a full decade earlier. But after decades and decades of breaking records, pushing his body to the absolute limit through countless injuries and grueling recoveries, this specific goal was not just another stat to add to a spreadsheet. It wasn't just a routine point in a long, storied career. Actually, scratch that. Because of his age, this goal was entirely different. It was, quite simply, history. But how do you execute history when the weight of the whole world is bearing down on you? Well, let's move to and see how this builds. I actually want to drastically slow things down here, just like time slowed down on the pitch. Let's look at this step-by-step physical reality right before the kick. This right here, this is the exact anatomy of focus, the meticulous, just incredible discipline required to center yourself right on the precipice of a monumental achievement. First, you have the heavy silence of millions upon millions of people watching. The anticipation is just palpable. Then, one deep breath. Grounding himself in the present moment, pushing out all that noise, the pressure, the millions of analyzing eyes. And finally, one last calculated look at the goalkeeper. The silence, the breath, the look. Then, goal. The tension completely shatters. That meticulous buildup we just talked about instantly transforms into this massive explosion of pure energy and sudden release. The ball hits the net, and in that exact second, it's like time stood entirely still. It's that microsecond between the execution of a lifelong skill and the realization of ultimate victory. It's this flash of absolute perfection where, sure, the stadium erupts in chaos, but for the person who actually made the shot, the world goes completely quiet in an entirely different way. So the crucial point here is understanding what actually occupies that tiny fraction of a second where time stands still. Basically, an entire career flashes by. It's the years of immense personal sacrifice, missing out on normal life just to chase an impossible dream. It's those brutal, freezing mornings of early training when absolutely no one else was watching, way before the fame and the cameras. The incredibly difficult days filled with physical pain and relentless, harsh public criticism that honestly would have broken most other people. All of that immense mental toll, all of that profound struggle, it all feeds directly into those glorious seconds of victory. It's a vivid illustration of how an entire career's worth of adversity is the absolutely necessary foundation for just 1 second of triumph. And we have to remember, this triumph was incredibly specific. Not only was it his very first World Cup knockout goal, which is a huge historical milestone that had sort of eluded him, making the moment universally meaningful, but it served as absolute proof that belief never gets old. Despite all the years of wear and tear, and despite the mounting doubts from critics worldwide, his fundamental belief in his own capability, it hadn't aged a single day. Now, obviously, Ronaldo celebrated with massive, undeniable passion on the outside, but inside, this is where we get to the real heart of his emotional anchor. His internal monologue likely echoed one singular, powerful thought: I still have something to give my country. And honestly, that shifts our entire perspective. This isn't about physical ego or some selfish desire for personal fame. No, it's a deeply warm, reflective, and profound commitment to service. His true driving force wasn't just to prove the critics wrong, it was to prove his ongoing value to the nation he loves so much. And that internal feeling was instantly met by the external reality. The absolute deafening roar of the Portuguese fans echoing through the stadium, it served as the ultimate reminder of his core purpose. It's just a beautiful, endless feedback loop. He gives his energy to his country, and the collective energy of those fans pours right back into him, validating every early morning, every single sacrifice, and every moment of pain. It connects this solitary, individual player standing out there on the penalty spot to a massive, collective human experience. And this brilliantly illustrates a vital contrast that really defines his legacy. Individual records, sure, they secure your name in the history books. They are incredible, awe-inspiring achievements. But wearing Portugal's badge has always meant more. Even after making history in that very second, his mentality was fiercely focused on the collective team, rather than just himself. And that right there is the mentality that has truly defined his entire career, subordinating personal glory to collective success. Which allows us to kind of zoom out and define the universal takeaway from this explainer. Look, whether you're a lifelong Ronaldo fan or someone who has literally never watched a single football match in your entire life, this moment teaches us a really vital lesson about greatness. Greatness is not about age. It's not about a number. It is about never giving up. It's about maintaining that internal belief through all the pain and the criticism and keeping your eyes fixed firmly on the goal. That is the true eternal mentality. So I want to leave you with a final thought to take with you long after this explainer ends. If greatness isn't about age, if it's truly just about never giving up, what is your excuse for giving up? Whatever goal you're striving for right now, whatever early mornings or criticisms you are facing, remember the anatomy of that penalty kick. Silence the noise, take a deep breath, look at your target, and never, ever give up. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating source material. Stay focused, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.